Fox 6 News.
Derica, thank you. Well, Milwaukee Police Chief Ed Flynn says, bring it on. Yeah, he welcomes a federal investigation, and tonight he's already answering questions about his officers.
Not from the feds, from our Ann State. And she's here to tell us what he said today, Ann.
Mary and Ted, we had a lengthy sit-down interview with the chief just hours after the announcement came down, and he went to great lengths to draw a distinction between the officers in the Derek Williams case and the officers accused of illegal strip searches. Here's why. Under fire, but not under the radar, Chief Ed Flynn goes on a media blitz just as the feds announce they are going to investigate the Derek Williams case. Williams died in police custody last year, gasping for air in the back of a squad. The case has fueled calls for Flynn's resignation.
So for the record, you are not going to resign?
That's correct.
Many have been calling for a federal investigation all along. They also want to know when Chief Flynn first saw the video of Williams dying. So we asked him.
I can't breathe, sir.
Yeah, I looked at the tape about a week ago, I guess.
Was that the first time you saw it?
Yeah.
Why didn't you look at it sooner if somebody died in police custody?
Well, here's the understanding. By the time this case was brought to the police department for investigation, the medical examiner had issued a ruling. The medical examiner's ruling was the man died of natural causes. That was the ruling. He'd done his investigation and autopsy.
Chief Flynn is promising to cooperate with a federal probe, but what he will not do is condemn the officers on scene that night. He basically says they didn't realize this was a medical crisis.
The felonies and the misdemeanors.
And he drew a sharp contrast between them and the 4 officers accused of illegal strip searches, a case he called willful misconduct. And he denied accusations from the Milwaukee Police Association president that those officers were pressured to make a sort of quota for arrests.
I absolutely reject, categorically reject, any notion that there is any kind of quota. It's total poppycock, and he knows differently.
Chief Flynn has said police need the community's trust to be effective. So I asked, given what's transpired, has the community's trust been broken? Would he ever consider resigning? He basically said no to both questions. He says murders and complaints are down, and he argues that police could not do that unless they had the community's trust. However, getting back to the video, a lot of people look at the video of Derek Williams and say, how could you not help this man as he was clearly struggling?
And that's one question. Also, how could you have not looked? He said he didn't see it, so the rest of us in the media thought, how often do you have someone die in a squad car where you say, well, if there's video, let's take a look at that. Let's look at it.
That's exactly what I asked him. I said, is it not protocol if somebody dies in police custody? Wouldn't you automatically look at any evidence and certainly video? And he said that he felt that since it had basically been ruled natural causes and that the officers had basically at that point been cleared by prosecutors of any wrongdoing, that he didn't feel the need. But we asked him that because that seemed a little off to us as well.
His body language seems not defensive, almost like...
It's very candid.
Very candid and very, listen, we did mess up in some areas, but for the most part, we're doing a good job. That seemed to be the flavor, if you will.
Absolutely. He basically said the officers in the Derek Williams case, they made a mistake by not realizing it was a medical crisis, but then he also said that as far as the strip search officers go, he didn't go as far as to call them guilty, but he definitely said that it was that they had done wrong.
We have your story and the story from 9 o'clock. We'll get them both online on fox6now.com.
Absolutely.
Ann State, thanks.
Thank you, Ann. Meantime, we are learning more about the illegal body cavity searches allegedly performed by those Milwaukee police officers. According to court records,